Yes, awesome. So welcome to AI and Power BI. My name is Richard Kachik. I'm the GPM for the AI work in Power BI, and with me is Justina Lichnik, who is a senior PM on the team. And before we get started, how many of you consider yourselves professional data scientists? Just a few. Good. How many of you consider yourself citizen data scientists? You can, yeah, okay. Okay, last other question before we get going. Python versus R. How many prefer Python? And how many prefer R? Ooh, how things have changed. Okay. So what we want to be able to achieve after this session is understand how AI fits in the vision of Power BI. And we've made a huge number of investments, particularly in the last year or so, to move that forward. We're going to be going through a lot of that today. And also we want to talk about that professional versus citizen data scientist. And there are two personas. Already? There are two personas. One is the analyst that wants to embed machine learning and AI in Power BI, and the other persona is the professional data scientist. So we'll talk a bit about which role, what tools you use depending on what role you are in. We've made, like I said, AI, making machine learning, incorporating machine learning in Power BI is a huge investment on the team. And there are some other things that we're looking at. One is data prep for a unified data lake, self-service data prep. And actually we'll be showing a bit about that, as some of the machine learning is on top of data flows, which is our self-service data prep story in Power BI. And the other investments we're making is a unified platform for self-service and enterprise BI in Power BI. So that sets. So we're going to be talking today across the spectrum of the capabilities of machine learning in Power BI. We're going to start talking about natural language and automated insights. We're going to be showing you how you can incorporate pre-built machine learning models in Power BI. We're showing you how to build your own models in Power BI. And we'll also be showing quite a bit about if in many organizations there are professional data scientists, how can they take in R, Python, whatever, how can you take that work and incorporate it in Power BI? So did I miss anything in the intro?
No.
Only lost one person so far?
Yep, so far so good.
Off to you, Justina.
Awesome, thanks, Richard. So if you could just go to the next slide just for a second. Or we can jump into the demo, that's fine. So we're going to start out with that kind of first box that Richard had on this slide, which was really AI for the business user. And our aim over here is to kind of make AI something that helps a business user navigate their data, so being able to use natural language to interact with data, as well as be very easily be able to find insights at literally just one-click operations. So over here, you're going to see a theme of Hawaii and tourism weaved out throughout this present, or at least my demos. And over here, we've got a report that we've started building, looking at Hawaii tourism analysis. So the state of Hawaii actually publishes a bunch of statistics about tourism, and so we were just leveraging that data. And so as a business user, I may want to interact with this report, kind of click around things to try and get some insights. But maybe there are things that I want to ask Power BI that maybe my analyst hasn't included in this report. So as an analyst, I can include this Q&A button directly inside my report. So I'm going to just add that in over here. And I'm going to place it over here. And what this Q&A button allows us to basically do is essentially extend whatever the report has with my own questions I might want to ask. So as a business user, all I'd have to do is go ahead and select this box. This is going to pop up Q&A. I can start with, there are some questions to get me started on the left-hand side. And these were actually just automatically generated by the system. This wasn't something that an analyst went ahead and authored. They were just kind of provided there. So if I select these, these will go ahead and just pop up some, answers for me straight away. But I can also start typing in my own questions. So maybe I want to understand more about visits by date, and maybe I want to break it down by, let's say, island. And Power BI is automatically going to be responding. It's going to be recreating the visual as I type to match whatever it is that I want to see. And so this is the first visual we've created. So we're looking at how many visitors we see by date across all of the different Hawaii islands. And you'll see over here, Oahu has a lot of visitors. But then there's essentially 2 lines that are very, very close to like pretty much 0 over here. And it's kind of interesting, and if we kind of hover over it, we can see that actually that's Molokai and Lanai. So it doesn't count if you were at my previous session, but any ideas why that might be? What's going on with Molokai and Lanai? Any thoughts? Richard, do you have any ideas? What might be going on here?
Well, I know one is something to do with Larry Ellison.
Yes, that is true. So Lanai is actually owned by Larry Ellison. You need to have like a private jet to get there. There's like no hotels, so that's one of them. The other one is Molokai. It was actually a leper colony, so not as nice as the story of Lanai, but that's basically the insights. We really dug into this Hawaii data to find out what's going on over here. But if maybe this is an interesting question. If I was the analyst here, or if I was the business user, I could add this question. So I have it actually saved as a question from the report author, something pinned that might be interesting for my business user to see later. Now I can carry on asking other questions. Let's look at maybe visits by date and region over here. So this is actually looking at where are people visiting Hawaii from. And we can see the most kind of highest visitors are like US West. So I might want to kind of carry on asking questions. I might want to retain this context. So I'm actually going to ask a related question over here. And I might want to see, just show me people who came to Hawaii for a honeymoon. And you'll see over here, I can actually scroll through and kind of see how things change. Over here, we saw US West was really kind of the top, where we had the most visitors from. But if we just look at honeymoons, actually that distribution changes a lot. And it turns out that actually from Japan, visitors from Japan are the ones who are really coming to Hawaii for honeymoons. And again, we did some research. It turns out 50% of Japanese honeymoons that happen outside of Japan actually do in fact happen in Hawaii. So there you go, some fun facts for you. But anyway, so this is Q&A in Power BI. Very natural. There's going to be a lot of cool investments coming. So stay tuned in the coming months for some of the things we're going to be doing with Q&A in Power BI. But let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about just getting insights out of your data. So again, as a business user, I would be going ahead and clicking around to try and kind of understand what might be related to what might be driving what. Well, with Power BI, what you can actually just do is right-click on any visualization that you see, and you'll see over here there's this little a tab over here called Analyze. Now, what's interesting about this is the question that you get is going to be contextual to the visualization that you have generated. So if we look at our find where distribution is different, this is the particular type of analysis that popped up over here. What Power BI is going to do is it's actually going to reason over the data and try and surface some interesting insights for us. So we were looking at visits by islands, and over here what Power BI has basically done is it's gone through all of the dimensions inside my data model to try and figure out when the distribution changes when it filters the data by that dimension. So here we've actually found that if you're a first-time visitor, the blue is basically the data filtered for first-time visitor, and the gray dashed line is your original distribution. So first-time visitors are much more likely to be going to Oahu than the other islands, because you can kind of see that, bars, higher over here. That's meant to be an arrow, never mind. And then the gray is sort of, higher in the other ones. If I was to go ahead and jump into repeat visitor, you would see that distribution changes. So you can kind of scroll through these, find interesting insights that might be relevant for you. And again, if you're kind of the author over here, you could even add these to the report for your business user to see later.
Does that make sense, everybody? Understand? Good.
Yeah. Awesome. So this is kind of what we have for just being able to, out of the box, use Power BI for essentially traversing the data using natural language, as well as being able to find insights in literally a click. One more thing I wanted to just point out is, over here we were able to see where the distribution was different. But if I went ahead and selected a different visualization, such as this one over here, this is a time series. And if I right-click on this, you'll see actually that the insight that you can generate changes. So here we're actually looking to explain the decrease rather than find where the distribution is different. So if I select this, again, you'll see different type of visualization, different type of insight that has been generated. So here we can actually see that between this date and the previous date, which is we're looking at our data at a monthly basis, we're actually explaining what has caused this decrease. And what's interesting is we've actually seen an increase for some categories, such as honeymoons, conventions have increased in that past month, but really, this huge drop has been to do with vacation. So because people have stopped going on vacation over there. So again, Power BI will figure out, we have a couple of types of insights like this, and it'll figure out what's relevant for the data that you're analyzing.
So just, why? Why did vacationers not?
Okay, I did not prepare for that one. I need to go to Hawaii and do some research to really be able to answer that question, Richard.
Well, what's fascinating is over those months, that there were volcanoes erupting.
Oh.
And prepaid trips like conventions and honeymoons, which could not be reorganized, they stayed pretty much the same, but the people that could, they stopped going.
Okay, there we go. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Can we jump back to the slides just for 1 second? Awesome. So let's go. Oh, perfect. So the next area I wanted to talk about a little bit is really looking at how we're bringing AI for not just the business users, but also our analysts, and being able to essentially provide a toolkit of AI transformations where they can essentially do just kind of like similar to what we did with Insights, and just a couple of clicks be able to add AI to their data in terms of enrichments. We're going to touch on Azure ML. I know that's kind of jumping a little bit further because that's kind of more down the data science realm, but I really want to focus on how the analyst can interact with models that were built by their data scientists. So again, focusing more on the analyst persona, and show you a little bit of what we're doing with out-of-the-box AI visualizations. So with that, if we jump back into the presentation, okay, and let's jump out of my cat background. But okay, over here we're starting out inside the Power BI service inside data flows. Out of curiosity, how many of you guys are familiar with data flows in Power BI? Okay, so a handful of you. So if you haven't seen data flows before, just like we have our dashboards, our reports, we've introduced this new concept into Power BI called data flows. And this is really for allowing analysts to create reusable and repeatable ETL processes and decouple their data preparation away from their data reporting. So usually in Power BI, you'd open up your desktop file, you'd do your transformations in Power Query, and then you'd load the data up into the model, and then you'd do your reporting. With data flows, you can essentially decouple that data preparation away from the data reporting. So here you can basically ingest data from lots of different places, clean up your data, schematize your data, transform it. You can link different data flows together. So all of these boxes that you see with this little icon are actually a data flow. And so you can essentially create data flows on top of each other. I like to think of them as these reusable blocks that you can kind of put on top of each other to essentially at the end create a unified and consolidated view of all your data. And so here we've created this hotel guest analytics view. We've basically gotten data from CSV extracts, from let's say CRM, from SQL. We've prepared it in all of these separate data flows, and then we've created this consolidated data flow. One other important thing to note is all of these lines that you see with data flows, they were not created by the user. They were actually generated by Power BI itself. Because we understand the functional dependencies of the data, we understand how data flows are linked together, we can ensure that we operationalize them accordingly so that we don't end up overwriting data, the common kind of problems you have with ETL. So we try and, again, allow analysts to do self-service data prep in a really kind of easy manner. Final thing to note is data flows are actually built on top of the Azure Data Lake. So everything that you see here, a data analyst will be using just tools that they're familiar with. You'll see data flows actually leverages Power Query behind the scenes. So as far as an analyst is concerned, they're using tools they're familiar with, but they're actually doing data preparation on top of the data lake. And you can even hook up your own Azure Data Lake behind the scenes so that all of the data that the analyst stores goes into the enterprise data lake that can then be reused by other Azure data services as well, because Power BI can read and write data flows in CDM form. You might have heard Satya talk about CDM form earlier on in the keynote, but so can all the Azure data services, such as Data Factory, Databricks, and so on. So this is a slight little tangent. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page with data flows. I encourage you guys to check it out. It's a really cool technology. But for the purpose of this demo, what we're going to be really doing is, we've kind of started bringing in all this data, and you'll see here we have this hotel reviews data flow we created. And so I want to actually add some enrichments to this data so I can then analyze it inside Power BI. So I'm going to jump into this over here, and I'm going to go ahead and select Edit. And you'll notice over here, this is essentially what the editing environment looks like for data flows. If you've used Power Query before, it should look very familiar. You've got all of your different Power Query transformations that you can do, and we'll kind of show and demonstrate how you can leverage AI transformations through Power Query. So if we take a look at the data just for a second, we essentially are switching scenarios a little bit and going from our statistical data about visits to Hawaii to actually looking at the scenario, a kind of hospitality scenario where we have a chain of hotels and we have lots and lots of visitors who are leaving reviews about our hotels. So we have our various hotels over here, we have the review date, and now we have some data that's kind of hard to really work with over here, because what we have is some essentially review text, review titles, and we have image data. Now, if you've used Power BI before, working with unstructured data with images is not always very easy, especially if you're trying to extract out insights from that data. So what I'm going to show you guys today is how you can leverage this AI Insights button over here. And if we go ahead and actually select that, this is going to take a couple of seconds to load because I have a lot of machine learning models in here. But what we've actually done is we've brought the power of Microsoft Cognitive Services and Azure Machine Learning directly into Power BI. So how many of you guys are familiar with Cognitive Services, out of curiosity? Okay, more people. Okay, so again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but these are basically sophisticated pre-trained machine learning models that you can just leverage out of the box with Power BI, well, basically in Azure. But if you want to use them inside Azure, what you need to do is you need to spin up the cognitive service, you need to get out the subscription key, you need to figure out how you're going to call it, where you're going to store the results. So there's a lot of kind of steps involved. And this is really not what our analysts want to be doing. So you'll notice over here we have this folder.
Justina, do you need Azure for cognitive services to appear here?
No, you do not need any Azure subscription for this. This is going to be this is out of the box with Power BI Premium. And so what I can basically do is I can select cognitive services over here. And we're going to be bringing more and more of these cognitive services with time. But to start out, we've got image detection models and we've got textual analytics models. So I'm going to start out with extracting out the key phrases from all of my different hotel reviews. So I'm going to select the text over here, and I'm going to just invoke this function. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds. And what we're basically doing is we're running all of the textual reviews directly through the cognitive services, and we're extracting out all of the different key phrases. So you'll see over here, if I kind of zoom in a little bit, we can see that we've extracted out key phrases like worst hotel, that's not very good for me, stairs, maybe someone, okay, elderly gentleman, so it sounds like maybe we didn't have an elevator, maybe that's something, we need to look into, but you can kind of start getting an idea of what kind of is going on in your data without actually having to read through all the text. Very quickly, another cognitive service you can use out of the box is sentiment analysis. So similarly, if I want to run it on top of my reviews text, I can just invoke this function, and this is going to basically figure out how happy or how good, how happy the guests sounded their reviews, with 0 being very, very, very unhappy and 1 being very happy. And you'll also notice while this loads that if we look at the right-hand side, every time we do one of these transformations, this just gets saved as a Power Query step on the right-hand side. So these are the transformations that happen, with Power BI. And what's great about this is every time my data refreshes, it's just going to run through these steps again. So I'm not going to have to do anything to, make sure that these steps happen once my data gets refreshed. It just happens out of the box. So again, over here we can see, we've got some really terrible review over here. It's got a 0.171 score. And if we kind of take a look, at the maybe reviews to kind of take a look at what's going on, we can see, elevator was broken. So, not great. The final thing I wanted to show you from the AI Insights kind of perspective is how you can start collaborating with data scientists. So, let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the data scientist who is creating a machine learning model directly inside Azure. So they're leveraging Azure Machine Learning. They've gone ahead and created a model. They've published it as a web service. And now they want to be able to share their findings with the business. And a really good way to be able to do that is to essentially bring that model into Power BI, have it run on top of the data, and be able to use it directly inside the reporting so we can start kind of blending in the kind of BI plus AI. Because ultimately, if you're a business user, you want to be getting an understanding of your business. You don't want to go to 20 different tools. We might be biased. We are from the Power BI team, but Power BI is a great way of being able to kind of show what's going on with the data to the business. So in the case of essentially a data scientist, all I'd have to do, I'm going to jump into my Azure portal over here, is once I've gone ahead and published my web service, I just have to share it with the analysts in order for them to be able to use it. So it's very low friction, very easy to basically add, where if I go to my access control, I can just add a role assignment, and I can select, let's say, a contributor role, and then I can go ahead and, let's say, add myself, in this case, as the analyst to this particular machine learning model. So as a data scientist, it's really no extra effort for me. But from an analyst perspective, if I jump back into my data flow over here, once I go into my AI insights, all of the models that have been shared with me automatically appear inside this list. So I get an automatic list of models that I can just leverage out of the box. I didn't have to do anything for these models to appear over here. So if I select, let's say in this case, this is not my opportunity scoring model, it's my hotel image model. What I want to do is essentially take the images that we have inside this data set and tag them. We've built a specialized model that has been trained on hotel images, so it recognizes objects within a hotel. And all I have to do is map the data to the schema that the model expects. So in this case, again, very simple model. All I have to do is provide it the image. I'm going to invoke this model. It's going to take, again, a couple of seconds to run. We can see we've got our new Power Query step here on the right-hand side. And then essentially, right now, you do require an Azure subscription, if Richard was going to ask that, because the model had to be built in Azure. So we're making calls to the Azure ML web service sitting inside our Azure subscription. So this will hopefully load in a couple of seconds. And if not, I do have the model already prepared in case it doesn't. Now, there we go. So we go ahead and we have a nested column that gets created because your machine learning model could return back one column. It could return back multiple columns. In this case, it is just one column, but you could imagine if it was something like an opportunity scoring model, you'd have your score and then your label. But in this case, all we have is basically the image tags that have been found. Okay, so we've done a lot of data prep. We've gone ahead and extracted out key phrases, sentiment scores. We've got our image tags coming from our machine learning model. So now we want to bring all this data together and start actually creating Power BI reports out of them. So I'm going to jump into Power BI, where I've started creating a report. So you'll see over here on the left-hand side, I've actually gone ahead and plotted all of my unstructured text. So I've got my various reviews along with the images. And then on the right-hand side, I want to start adding some structure to this data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unveil this amazing word cloud that I have hidden away. And this is basically plotting all of the different key phrases that we extracted out from the text to get a very quick understanding of what's going on in the data. But I'm going to come back to this in just a second. Let's just leave it over here for now. Let's actually plot something from scratch. So I'm going to jump into my data over here, and what I'm going to plot is my sentiment score. And let's go ahead and break it out by hotel name, because I have 5 different hotels over here, and I want to get an understanding of how people feel about the various hotels. This is a little bit hard to read. I've hidden this little image here so I can format this and make it look better. And there we go. So automatically I can see that certain hotels that I own over here are performing a little bit better. Some of them are not performing as well. Like if we take a look at Palm Show over here, it's got more of a negative sentiment. So I can just select it, and everything in Power BI is going to automatically cross-filter for me. So my unstructured text on the left-hand side, but so do my key phrases over here. So you can see, for example, one of the words that kind of seems to be trending is construction. So then my next step will probably be to drill into that particular key phrase, isolate the reviews that are to do with that, because that's something troublesome for me. How are my guests feeling about construction? So I can start digging into that data a little bit more. But let's start actually cross-correlating our output from our cognitive services with our machine learning model and see what we can learn. So I'm going to copy this visual over here, and instead of visualizing it by hotel name, let's go ahead and actually visualize it by the image tags that we were extracted out from our machine learning model. So these are all the things that the machine learning model basically identified inside the images, and then we've basically asked the question of, okay, well, when you post, let's say, a picture of a beach, is generally the review a good one, or a bad one? So if we look at, let's say, click on something like view over here, view is pretty positive. We can see some pretty nice looking views. Generally, happy customers, happy guests. And then we can kind of, we're more interested in where people are maybe a little bit less happy, maybe more unhappy. So if we go down all the way down to the list, we can see that when people post pictures of ACs under Hawaii vacation, for whatever reason, they don't seem to be that happy. And on the left-hand side, we can see pictures of dirty, broken, loud ACs, which I guess makes sense. If you're, on your Hawaii vacation, you're taking a picture of an AC, you're not having a great time. But this is looking at the hospitality industry, but you could apply these sorts of insights to really, anything where you have review data, where you have images, and you want to be able to extract out some insights. So switching gears a little bit, I want to share you guys some of the out-of-the-box AI visualizations we are providing in Power BI. We have released one so far. There are going to be more, so stay tuned for that. But the first visualization that we've released, and you'll see it indicated by this little light bulb over here, is the key influencers visual. And what we mean by AI visualizations is, generally when you have, let's say, your column chart, you kind of know exactly what you're plotting. With the AI visuals, the intention is going to be that when you plot one of these visualizations, we're actually going to be running some statistical analysis behind the scenes that's going to be finding insights in your data. But as an analyst, you have complete control because you're ultimately just going ahead and plotting a visual. So you can bind it to your data, you can format it, you can make it look exactly how you want to. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the field that we want to analyze. And I'm going to jump into my data just for a second, and I'm going to show you what the data looks like. The question I want to really understand better here is, what drives a customer to come back to my hotel the following year? So I've looked at all of my customers who came, let's say, a year ago. I looked at what kinds of things they got up to, maybe which country were they visiting from, what was their registered primary interest. And then I have this field over here in my data model that is telling me whether a customer returned or didn't return. And so what we're going to do over here is we're going to drag in the customer field. That's what we want to analyze. And we want to analyze what actually drives a customer to return back to the hotel. Okay? And so we've set up the visual, and now all I have to do is start dragging and dropping in various factors. So let's start with primary interest as one of them. And you'll see Power BI has automatically run some analysis. And what we're basically saying over here is, well, we found that when your primary interest is relaxation, you're over 1.5 times more likely to come back than if you're visiting us for any other reason. On the right-hand side, we always try and provide you with your own data to help you understand that finding. So we actually transform the data a little bit, make it easier for you to understand it given what we're telling you, and we actually show you what your data looks like to help you kind of understand what your data is saying. Now this is just with one factor, but I can just keep dropping in factors, and you'll see that every time I go ahead and do that, Power BI actually re-ranks everything and reruns. In this case, it's actually running a classification model. And we can see that it's re-ranked my factors. The top factors now is if you're visiting us from the UK, then you're most likely to come back. But what you can also do with these visualizations is not only re-rank the factors based on the data that you're dragging in, but it's just another Power BI visualization at the end of the day. So imagine I'm interested in my 40 to 50-year-old customers. I have that plotted over here. I can just select this bar over here, and we're just going to re-rank everything again for you, just for that slice of data. So in this case, if you're visiting us, you're between the ages of 40 to 50, it looks like the top factor that's driving you to come back is if you've purchased a spa visit. So this is the group that really, we see come back to our hotel the following year. Now this is still looking at only one factor at a time, but we have this other tab over here that is looking at our top segments. And this is actually running a decision tree behind the scenes for us. So it's doing automatic segmentation based on this, the splits it finds in the decision tree. And over here, for example, segment 1, it's a lot higher than the other ones. And what this is telling us is that 26% of the people in segment 1 came back to our hotel. So let's try and find more out about this segment. I can select the segment, and I can find out that this segment is made up of people who visited us from Japan, and they have purchased a spa visit. And when basically these two conditions are true, we find 26% of customers return, compared to 11%, which is the average in our general data set, in our general population. So it's actually quite a large deviation. This group, is a good group to target. They like our hotel. When they basically are visiting us from Japan, they purchase a spa visit, they're just much more likely to come back. I could flip the question around and say who doesn't return back, and maybe, again, I might want to target those customers to understand what I could maybe do better and improve. So again, I encourage you guys to try these out. This is a preview feature, so you will have to enable it under options and preview. But if you do, we'd love to hear your thoughts and love to hear what you think. So with that, I'd like to pass back to Richard.
One comment I'd like to make about this
Yes.
is the key influencer visualization is a scoped or sandboxed analysis. And when it was first released, my favorite Reddit post was, hey, somebody said, this is amazing, you get insights about those things. What affects those things that drive your business? And somebody else said, well, I hope it's better than automated insights, because when I use quick insights in my Power BI report, I discovered that I have more sales in months with 31 days than 30 days. Thanks, Microsoft. So that's not so helpful. By scoping this to things that might be interesting, it gives you a better way to define the experience for your business users.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
I think, go back.
Oh, one more thing, actually. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, well, you've brought cognitive services into Power BI. We've got cognitive services inside Azure. When do I use, which one? What, you're confusing me. Why do we have them in two places? So I just came up with this kind of a little bit of a cheat sheet to help understand, what are the use cases for which one. The biggest difference is really a persona difference. For Power BI, it's really much more about the analyst. The tools that they're using, their skill set is Power Query, it's maybe M code, it's data flows. They're not going to be going off and writing code inside Azure. In the cases of cognitive services with Azure, it's really more of the data developer who's hooking these up into their applications. The skill set that's required is things like Azure, maybe working with a programming language such as C# or Python. And again, there's a bit of a costing difference for Power BI. This is all included as part of Power BI Premium. If you're using it in Azure, it's part of your Azure subscription. So just wanted to cover that.
Great. So we're moving now towards more of the professional data scientists and some of the citizen data science experience with R and Python. And before I get into my example, I just want to have a quick digression on what a logistic regression is that when you want a logistic regression, you want to classify something, true or false, won or lost, blue or green. You want to, instead of predicting a value, you want to predict what state or categorical value something's going to be. And so what I've plotted there is based on some measure, the likelihood of something either being 1 or 0, like won or lost, right? And so the question is, how do you fit a curve like that? Like, we remember our linear regressions from probably high school or first couple of years of post-secondary education. And you can't fit a straight line to this, right? Because a straight line goes below 0 and above 1. You can't have probabilities above 100%, and you can't have negative probabilities. So a linear regression is really not the mechanism to do this. But a sigmoid function, which is used just again and again and again in machine learning and AI, can be used. And so a classification model typically uses a sigmoid function or something like it to fit that data of on or off. And when you have many categorical variables, like you're trying to predict a multi-state, 3, 4, 5 or more, you can use the same function to predict one of those states versus everything else. Make sense? Think of it as, if you understand linear regressions, where you're trying to predict, say, the price of a house based on square footage, price from the beach, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you had a straight line, if you plot this, if you fit this against something that is a categorical, you have the same thing. So it's just, if you understand linear regressions, you understand logistic regressions. Make sense? Yes? Yes? Great. So what I want to do is demonstrate the Python transformations and visualizations that are available in Power BI. And actually, let me go back to this slide, because I want to give this guy credit, because that blog post, I found a blog post on water pump maintenance by M. Zaradsky, thank you. And if you search for it, you can get the complete breakdown of what I've done based on that blog post. Okay, so what is done is that there are water pumps, all kinds of water pumps, mechanical, manual, solar-powered, and there are 3 states of those water pumps. They could be working, functional, they could be broken, or they could be working but in need of repair. And so what I've done is I've taken that data and then I've predicted the state. I've taken the historical data and predicted the state of the pumps predicted the state of the pumps whose state I don't know. And there I've got a visualization here, and I'm looking at all the water pumps in Tanzania. And if I click on who paid for them, you get some really compelling analytics in terms of the state of those pumps. Okay, so the things you can do are virtually endless. Think of predicting the likelihood of a customer churning, predicting the likelihood of winning an opportunity or losing an opportunity. It's just the ability to augment your analytics with machine learning. The possibilities are endless. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, I could do it in one of two ways. And the way I want to show you first is the professional data scientist. So I've opened up a notebook, and where I'm building a model. And you can see I'm doing a lot of stuff here. I'm cleaning my data in Python. I'm converting some of the data in ways I can use it. I'm looking at how the value of one of these attributes compares to the other. And after, not a whole lot of code, but 100 lines of code or so, I can run my logistic regression. That's this line right here. I don't want to change that. And I'm building my logistic regression. And then I output the score. The score is how often do I predict the state of those pumps? That if the pump is broken, how often do I predict that it's broken versus functional or functional needing repair? And this model, 61% of the time, the state, I predict the state. That's pretty good, right? 2/3 of the time, I can just take a look at the attributes of the pump, and I can tell you whether it's broken or working. Pretty good. And this is what a data scientist typically does. And I've played this role in a previous life. Justina's played this role in a life. You build a model, take a look at the accuracy, play around, change things, build another model until you're happy with the results, and then you can move that into production. Make sense? Okay, so how do I do that in Power BI? Well, the way I did it here, that this is if I edit my data, edit queries. And just like Justina showed in Power Query, that right here are the applied steps. One of my applied steps is I'm running a Python script in Power Query. And if I click on this, what I've actually done is I took that script from my notebook and I pasted it in here. And at the very end, I added the predicted values to my data set, and I put it into my data set in Power BI, and then I was able to build my report on it. Okay? Any questions about? So let me go back. There's one other thing that we can do. So that is the Python transformation of my data. We also enable Python visualizations. The Python has some libraries that can plot data, and it's taking a while, but that can plot data. I can create a visualization and embed inside the Python visualization. Here, let me show you where that is. This thing right here, if I put that Python visualization, I create this, and inside that, I've pasted some code, and at the end of my script, I say, plot the result. And so there are Power BI has got a very powerful set of visualizations, but if you're looking for something that is available in Python that is not available in Power BI, you've got both Python and R available to you. And the nice thing about this is twofold. Notice you get the IntelliSense and the experience of a Python script editor here. We can also open this up, and I've got an IDE installed on my machine, and I can edit these scripts with my, did I click on it? Yeah. I can edit these scripts with my IDE of choice. And so here we see the code I put together to visualize that correlation matrix. Okay, so that is the experience of the professional data scientist. So if you have somebody in your organization that loves Python, loves R, they can do the Python and R transformations in Power BI. They can do their Python or R visualizations in Power BI as well.
And it might be worth just noting, so I was an R user before I was a Power BI user, and my kind of take on it was, well, I can do everything in R. I don't need Power BI. And then, I realized with the integration that we have here, it really actually allows you to do more with things like R and Python directly inside Power BI. So I'm not sure, this might break your demo, so I apologize if I suggest to do something that you
Completely
can't.
unscripted.
But one of the cool things about, let's say, the Python visuals and the R visuals is they're interactive. They're like other visualizations in Power BI. They're essentially first class.
Oh, cool. You mean that if I click this, that the script reruns? And
Yes, the script will rerun on that portion of data and recalculate everything. So they're not just images. So if you think about this from like an R or Python, kind of authoring perspective, every time you would want to rerun this correlation matrix, you have to go change the code, say no, filter to this data. With Power BI, you essentially get this interactive sort of canvas where you can just click around and your script will automatically rerun just for that portion of data, which I think is super compelling.
Okay, so that is for the professional data scientist. Now I want to talk a bit about how can you accomplish the same thing as a citizen data scientist. And so let me I'm going to bring up the data flows. And I brought that data inside Power BI as a data flow. And pumps rich decay, there it is. And the information here, if I edit my entities, I can see all of the information that was collected about those pumps. And just, you can see that where it is, the GPS, the height, the elevation of it, information. So a ton of information about each one of those pumps. So now I want to predict the same thing, but say that, I don't know Python, I don't know R. I want to create a machine learning model. So I am going to say, add a machine learning model. And the field I want to build a model on is the, if I could get it, I think it's here somewhere. There it is, status group. It's a text categorical about one of those three states, functional, not functional, functional needs repair. I click next. And what Power BI does is it takes a look at what you're trying to predict. It takes a look at the information that's available. Oh, and it's a general classification model. I think I explained that at the outset. And this is the information that's available to me. And I am just going to say next. I give the model a name. And if I click save, what's going to happen is that we're going to start building a model. We use a capability in Power BI called automated ML. And what that means is automated ML tries one model. It tries several models, scores them, prunes the list of models to try, and learns from what it does, and does it again, and then again, and then again. And so that experience about the professional data scientist, that I try one model, then I tweak it, try another model, it's a tedious exercise that could take a couple days. What automated ML in Power BI does is it automates that for you. So after I've provided that information, Power BI with automated ML does the rest. And if you've heard of automated ML in Azure, it's the same thing. What we've done is we've taken their code and we baked it into Power BI and made the capabilities available to Power BI users. Now, at this point, typically somebody says, but Richard, aren't you giving your analyst a gun of which they can shoot themselves? And yes, it is a powerful capability. And so I'm going to, instead of kicking this off, what I want to do instead is go to the report that we provide. So at the end, when the model's finished training, we provide some information about it. And here we find some things about the accuracy. In this case, it's 81%. If you remember, the logistic regression was 61% or so. So what Power BI with automated ML was be able to build a model that was substantially more accurate. 80% of the time, the state of that pump is predicted correctly. And I should say that the way we do that is automated ML sets aside 20% of the data, builds a model in 80%, and then applies that model to the 20% of the data, and then compares the result it predicted versus the results it actually was. And that's where that predicted value comes up. Okay, so that analyst, that citizen data scientist, when they build a model using Power BI and AutoML, we point them to these reports to validate that it makes sense. So, for example, if you're trying to predict whether an opportunity is won or lost, and you discovered that, hey, the prediction of whether it's won or lost is really influenced by the closing date. Well, won opportunities are closed and lost opportunities are not. And so we show what are called key influencers for each one. So let me pick, I want to predict not functional. Not functional. And that would be just awesome if my demo failed to this point. There we go. And the key influencers for a pump that doesn't work is sorry, let me just scroll up on this visual. The top influencer, there we go, are the funders. Who pays for it? Well, it sort of makes sense, right? If somebody's paying for a pump and they don't know what they're paying for or what they're doing, a bad funder could have a big influence on whether that pump ultimately shortly stops working. And then the next key influencer here is the installer. That also makes sense. If the installer doesn't know or is less experienced, that pump is more likely to fail. So we point the citizen data analyst to look at these. And if they find something that just doesn't smell quite right, they can figure out that something's wrong. Now there's something else I wanted to show you here, is the training details. And this gives you some insight into what automated ML did behind the scenes. And so this model took a few hours to build, and you can see that over time it tried one model, tried another model, tried another, and it just bumped up until it finally landed at the best performance of everything it tried. There we go. And this is where, if I could find my mouse, at the very end, right there, is the model that was ultimately chosen. Now, then as the citizen data scientist, I can then take I can apply this result, and I can create a new column name and put the score that the model provides into my data flow, and then I could surface that up inside my report. Make sense? Good. Did I forget anything?
Nope.
Let me go back.
I guess one thing worth mentioning is not only does it give you the top kind of level influencers, but actually if you could leverage the output of automated ML inside your reports to see actually not only row level predictions, but also row level explanations. So for each row of data that it predicts, it actually tells you how it got to that finding. And so you can create pretty nice looking waterfall charts that tell you, what's increasing the risk for that specific point, for in this case, specific pump or a specific opportunity, and what's reducing the risk. So again, you can kind of not only get transparency at the aggregated level, but also on a per row level, which is very compelling.
So another cheat sheet, because automated ML is available in Azure and is available in Power BI. And so sometimes we deal with questions from people, when would I want to use one versus the other? The experience in Power BI is targeted at the analyst or the citizen data scientist. A professional data scientist would want to be able to use the automated ML in Azure. We hide a lot of the knobs that are available to you in automated ML in Power BI. If you're an experienced developer or a data scientist, you'd probably prefer to use it in Azure. So the only skills that you need to use automated ML in Power BI is experience in data flows. So this is the automated ML is on top of data flows, and everything lives completely in Power BI. On our roadmap is to be able for the two to meet, that if something is built in Power BI, we want to be able to export it for that professional data scientist to use in Azure. That functionality is going to be coming in the next few months.
All right, so to wrap up, We went through, we tried to take you guys through a spectrum of capabilities that we have inside Power BI when it comes to the AI technologies. So we covered the business user, how a business user can interact with data using natural language and be able to extract out insights, in kind of just a couple of clicks. We talked a lot about the analyst, and I'm going to kind of use analyst and citizen data scientist within that context, where we're really trying to provide the analyst with a new toolkit of AI capabilities by leveraging, and I think, one of the things that is really worth noting here is, as Microsoft, we're fortunate to have all of these amazing technologies inside Azure. You'll see, with a lot of these capabilities, we're just shamelessly stealing from the cognitive service team, on the automated ML team, and the Azure ML team, and just building these things into Power BI. Because it makes zero sense for us to reinvent the wheel, start building these technologies from scratch when we have so much goodness, so many researchers, scientists already building these things into Azure. And that's also something that's, a huge strength for us, because we are fortunate to be able to leverage all of these capabilities. So really for this analyst, we're getting this toolkit out for them by bringing in these cognitive services, the automated machine learning technology. With the key influencers visual that you saw, we're actually building on top of ML.net and bringing that directly into Power BI, baking that in. So we're basically just aggregating all of these technologies and providing it to our analysts. But our biggest challenge really is with the user experience, is how do we bring these technologies, which can be quite complex and are aimed at developers, and bringing them to kind of an experience that is right for analysts, right for Power Query, right for Power BI. Finally, we are providing extensibility options when it comes to things like Python and R. We aren't trying to compete with Python and R. We're not saying Power BI will now replace Python for you, because that's just silly. It's really about providing the opportunities for data scientists to collaborate with their analysts and be able to do more with Power BI, share their findings with the business users in one seamless reporting experience, as well as be able to provide these kind of fun additional capabilities, such as, hey, you can now create an interactive Python visualization without having to write new code for that. And similarly, Azure integration, where we're not maybe baking the technology in, but allowing for that kind of first-class native support for machine learning models that were built inside Azure, and having those be brought into Power BI. And if we jump to the next slide, that's going to be our session takeaways, which is really just everything I've just reiterated, so we can skip over that. It's Wednesday today, so a lot of these sessions you might have to kind of check out on demand. If you want to see more about, not just kind of Power BI plus AI, but how Power BI plus AI fits into the wider Power Platform story, there's a session on Monday you can check out. If you want to look at more how Power BI fits in with all the different Azure data services, learn more about the common data model, about data flows, and actually see how the data looks like inside the data lake, I encourage you to check out the session we did yesterday about Power BI plus Azure Data Services. And then today, if you want to learn more about that enterprise reporting side, so at the beginning, Richard mentioned there's a lot of investments going on inside Power BI. If you want to learn more about one of our other core investments, you can check out the session on Power BI meets Azure SQL Data Warehouse, and how you can do essentially interactive analytics on top of a lot of data. I'm not going to steal Christian's punchline as to how much data there is. Some other resources for you guys to check out: the Power BI blog. We post our monthly updates there whenever we do a new release. And then, if you haven't checked out the Power BI desktop, you can download it for free. It's always going to be free. It's not a trial. We have chosen to basically keep the desktop free and just ask for, basically essentially a license when you publish things to the service. So I highly encourage you guys to check out and play around with Power BI desktop if you haven't done so already. Thank you very much. If there's any questions, we have a couple of minutes left, so please go ahead.
Any questions?
If you could come up to the mic, I'm sorry. It's just then everyone else can hear the question.
So you mentioned about the AI Insight as an add-on.
Yes.
So are they also free on Power BI desktop, or do we need to?
That's a great question. So those are available as part of data flows, which are just inside the Power BI service. For leveraging the AI insights, if you want to bring in your Azure machine learning models, that's just part of, again, a Power BI Pro license, which is $10 a month. And then if you want to leverage the cognitive services, that does require Power BI Premium because that's additional. So Power BI Azure Cognitive Services and Automated ML are both part of Power BI Premium, which is it's more a model where you essentially pay for capacity, and then you can have up to, well, as many users as you want. We recommend up to 5,000 users on the capacity.
Have any repo that we can test around if we have the Power BI desktop to see, or maybe if we subscribe to Power BI Premium and we have some repos that has this data, or maybe they can just play around?
We have some quick start tutorials.
Okay.
So there, I think on the Microsoft documentation page for Power BI, where you can take a look at some tutorials and guides we have on how you can get started with all of these capabilities.
Everything you've seen is available with some quick start tutorials.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I have a quick question. The Power BI server, is it available on-premise? Because there's a version of Power BI we can install on-premise versus the cloud. What's the feature parity, or what do you get additional on the cloud versus on-premise for the Power BI server?
Oh gosh, there is an on-premise story for Power BI. The AI capabilities that we talked about are not included in it, though.
No, that's more for it's kind of more like building paginated pixel perfect reports that you want to use for printing out, PDFs. So it's a slightly different use case compared to what you would be doing with the kind of interactive sort of self-service reports.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is we are a financial company, so we definitely have reservations to put data on the cloud, and we are selecting between Tableau and Power BI. And what Tableau obviously is telling us is Power BI is mainly for the cloud, and then Tableau does have on-premise install. So that's
yeah. So I mean, again, the desktop is on-prem. So in order to, again, if you just want to author it, the report server, if you want to learn more about the report server, you can follow up with us afterwards. I can put you in touch with the report server PM, and they'll be able to answer a lot more granular questions about the exact kind of discrepancies in functionality. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I had the same question about the Power BI report server, the on-prem
Okay.
one. But I had the second question was what happens to the M language stuff in Power Query now that we have R and Python and all that? So if somebody had to write a new report, should we just prefer Python and R or M?
The M story or Power Query story is augmented by R or Python. So the intent is for capabilities that you want to leverage what Python and R are capable of, use it, but it is not in any way intended to replace Power Query or M.
No. It's more just, there are certain statistical functions that maybe people want to run that we don't have in M yet. They, are comfortable with Python and R, so you can augment it, but yeah, not a replacement.
Like some of the simple transformation that you're planning to do that are supported both in M and Python.
Then we encourage you to use M. That's kind of the out-of-the-box capability. We see Python as an extensibility story rather than a replacement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You've shown some cool data integration and visualization for Python and R, and I was wondering, are there any plans to include other languages in there as well, like preparing data in JavaScript or using something like the D3 library for visualization?
So we don't currently have plans to bake it in as an extensibility story as a new visual, but you can. We've actually open sourced all of our visualization stack, so you can build your own custom D3 and JavaScript visualizations, and you can import them as custom visuals into Power BI. We have a marketplace with hundreds of visualizations. There's actually thousands that people have built, they just haven't put out to the common kind of marketplace. But you can absolutely use D3 JavaScript to build them. It's just not directly inside the Power BI experience. So have you seen the marketplace by any chance?
In the first demo on Monday, I think.
Sorry?
The first demo on Monday.
The one. Yeah, so that's where you would be. You could author them basically outside and then bring them in as custom visuals. So there's a lot of documentation. Again, we can follow up and I can send you some links for that.
And another question, you've shown that you can extract some keywords from lengthy reviews as well that look good in English. And how well does that work with some exotic languages like Arabic or Japanese, for example?
It works with, I think, about 20 languages. I will pop up very quickly the actual list. If you look at Azure Cognitive Textual Analytics libraries, each of the cognitive services, there's a slight nuance between which ones exactly they support. But let's see if I can. I'll follow up with you in just a second on that one while I look. But
We only have 20 seconds left, so let's take one
but
more question.
yeah, just give me like 2 seconds. I will. So which ones are you specifically interested in? Arabic and Japanese, you said?
Yeah, for example.
Okay, let's see.
While you're doing that, when we bring
Yeah.
up the one more question,
I will, yeah.
You talked about sentiment analysis.
Mhm.
Is that out of the box or is that trainable? So
sentiment
our data-
sentiment analysis is sentiment analysis out of the box for premium subscription, and it's part of Power BI itself. So we don't require an Azure subscription; it's baked into Power BI.
we don't have to train with our
No
data sets,
training.
so it
It's
becomes-
it's
No.
pre-built machine learning model.
And then same thing with the keyword extraction.
Same thing.
Same thing. And
No
it's
training.
not configurable if we're seeing a lot of noise. Like we did something like that on Yammer internally. We saw a lot of the thank yous and please joins for please join a meeting. So with the tool we were using, we had to kind of tweak it because of what it's being a public service. Do you guys kind of have all that figured out, or?
If you're seeing noise in it, you can do one. Let us know, and so we're working with the cognitive services team, so we can have them augment the model. The other option for you is to build your own a custom model with AutoML to do your own key phrase extraction. And I'm sorry, we're out of time.
We will hang around here, though, if you guys have any additional questions.